Hey everyone, it's John here from Hot Take Hockey, back with another video. Got to talk about this second trade here because I made the video, talked for almost 2 hours on the live stream last night about the JT Miller trade, but then the Canucks, they don't respect the grind. I mean, I'm joking, but it's hilarious that you make a second Friday night trade. Like, the Friday nights are very much like news dump, known as a news dump, and the Canucks do it twice in one night. So we got back-to-back Fridays with bombs going on. Last Friday, obviously, the Rantanen, and then obviously this Friday, the Canucks make a couple trades. So overall, I wanted to show it because for me, I think overall, and I'll just put it on a tweet, but also I'll say it on the video, the Canucks made a bold but great combined move, in my opinion. I think it all comes down to if they can re-sign Marcus Pettersson. I think this is good value for the scenario they had. You upgrade your defense group. You get rid of the Vincent Desharnais contract, which, again, that was a Patrick Allvin Rutherford mistake to begin with, so you don't really credit that too much. But on the other side, I think Filip Chytil's a good bet. I mean, guys, be surprised or not, but Filip Chytil's got more goals than JT Miller on the year. I believe Miller's got 9, Chytil's got 11. So here's the thing. Chytil has a lot of injury issues, so if he goes down with an injury and ends up being out long-term, like, it's risky. That's why I'm saying it's bold, it's risky, but the value is not too far off considering the contract of JT Miller for 5 more years and the scenario. Like, you can't ignore the scenario. The value is always going to be lower. I tried to explain this to some Canucks fans that every team knows this. Every team knows what's happening behind the scenes here. So overall, it wasn't going to be this massive blockbuster package for JT Miller as much as I wanted it to be. Like, I was going back to the Devils package, and I said, you know what? If the Devils get desperate here at any point and get an injury, I wonder if the Devils would be willing to trade Simon Nemec. I said that. Did I think the Devils were going to do that? No. But with Simon Nemec getting frustrated, again, you have to consider it. In my eyes, you have to consider it, and the value definitely changes for players when there's a public trade request. Not saying Nemec had one, and not saying JT Miller had one, but it seems like it was like a half trade request. So, looking on the timeline, we'll see. I think Dubas does deserve some credit because he's had a lot of crappers over the last couple of years, especially signings. But this is a great point from Frank Corrado. But I think for me, Corrado definitely says what some of us are thinking here, but I like the analysis coming right from a defenseman. So Mancini is more than just a throw-in for the Canucks. Big, strong, physical, can skate, mobile, isn't afraid to carry the puck and do it well. A raw talent, late bloomer who will still have to prove it, but has all the necessary skills to do so. Saw him in person earlier this year and was impressed. Yeah, I think Mancini, we talked about it last night, right shot defenseman, 22 years old, 6'3", has NHL games under his belt. I think he could be like that third pair for the Canucks that Desharnais just wasn't. So, hey, Canucks fans, if there's one other thing to be happy about, I guess Desharnais and Juleson potentially not playing in your lineup. That's all right. And then also just looking at this. So I sent out a tweet last night about Pettersson. Crazy. But this is the trade if you guys missed it. So the Rangers' first-round pick that they acquired in the JT Miller trade that Vancouver acquired gets flipped to Pittsburgh, as well as Danton Heinen's and Desharnais' contracts get dumped. Not the greatest signings in the offseason. And then the bulk of it is the Canucks get Marcus Pettersson and Drew O'Connor. So that's why I was saying the combined acquisition there. Marcus Pettersson, look how good of a two-way defenseman he is. I think obviously the Canucks probably want more defensive responsibility from him, but overall, he's been very good on a Pittsburgh Penguins team that hasn't been good, right? So you have to consider that even strength defense is on a Pittsburgh Penguins team that hasn't been good in that category. But Jay Fresh's summary is acquired by Vancouver. He's a top pair defenseman, solid puck mover and complementary presence, has improved offensively, tall but not strong, gets hit constantly, very good defensive stick, can swing the puck around the offensive zone, hits the deck a bit too much. I do think he's probably just a really, really good second pair on a playoff team. And if you have a shutdown pair or a really good two-way pair of Phil Pronik and Marcus Pettersson, you're laughing. Because I think here's the thing. Quinn Hughes can carry any guy on a pair. So if he's partnered with Tyler Myers, that might not be too bad because then you can have a really good pair with Hronek and Pettersson. But at the end of the day, I will say last year, Hronek and Hughes looked like one of the best pairs in the league in general. So that's something to keep in mind. But that's the overall in and out there. So, give me your thoughts, guys. I do want to look at next trades, though. Yeah, the whole timeline is Pettersson or JT Miller. So, we see all of that. But let's look at next trades. How are Canucks fans feeling? So I see a lot of deals here. But do they blow it up, or do they stand pat and re-sign Marcus Pettersson, re-sign Brock Boeser, go for the playoffs this year, and then see what happens? But okay, we're not looking realistic here. But the Trent Frederic one is interesting. I was going to bring that up. Keep an eye on Trent Frederic as a Canucks target. I wouldn't be surprised if Boston trades him. Let's see what else is here. Again, I think Brock Boeser still might get traded if they fall out of a playoff spot, or like they're not in a playoff spot, but if they like completely fall away from the race, they're on a 3-game winning streak, or they were until they lost to Dallas last night. So sorry, they were on a 3-game winning streak. They lost to Dallas last night, 5-3. The Sean Couturier one's interesting. I do still wonder if they consider even trading Demko. Boeser to Montreal. I don't know about that. I know Zegras' name's kind of hopping around. I'm going to make a video maybe coming up on that again because there's whispers on him going to Colorado. Kaboom to the forward core. Let's see what this one's looking like. Okay, so you still trade Pettersson in this scenario. You trade Brock Boeser to Minnesota. And you get Bowen Byram and Dylan Cousins. What does the lineup look like? So the lineup in this scenario would be Cousins, DeBrusk, Lekari Mackey, Hedel, Garland, Joshua. I think that line could be really good, especially if Hedel stays healthy. He could score 20, 25 goals on a year. Pia Suter, Sherwood, Linus Karlsson. Again, the depth is not great. The forward group's not great. It definitely takes a downgrade with no Pettersson and Miller. And do you really need a defenseman like Jacob Middleton after you acquire Pettersson? Probably not. Let's look at this one. Ooh, I like this one a little better. Dump Forbort, get a pick upgrade, get a first and a fifth for Brock Boeser, who's a pending UFA. See, I'll say this. If the Canucks can get a first-round pick for Boeser and then flip it for a young center with term, I think maybe you consider that. Just consider. I'm not saying that's the right go, but the Canucks really need to re-sign Boeser and Marcus Pettersson, or some of this looks like a mess if they're not rebuilding. Okay, so we're not going to take that one seriously. F them picks. Let's see. Okay. Dylan Cousins. Imagine they acquired Dylan Cousins without trading Pettersson. That would be crazy. Like, ooh, that's really interesting. Imagine. That'd be really interesting. What if the Canucks like flipped Hedel or sent Pia Suter or something to Buffalo, first and second round pick too? That'd be really interesting. I don't think Buffalo does it though. I don't think Buffalo's trading Cousins unless it's for a big fish. So we'll keep an eye on it. But I was going to pull up maybe one more. What's next? Let's see what they have for what's next. Yeah, I think we looked at this or something similar. Erston Couturier for Demko Susi. I will say something like this could be interesting if there was like 50% retention on Couturier. Like, this trade doesn't make any sense for Vancouver at all. If I could make a prediction right now, I think we could see something like this. If the Columbus Blue Jackets are in the race, I think it makes sense to go after like a Sillinger Provorov or a Sillinger Fabro combination. I think Columbus and Vancouver could be trade partners. I think that makes a lot of sense. And I still think Buffalo and Vancouver could be trade partners. Is it a Pettersson situation? I'm not sure. I actually don't know if they're going to still trade Pettersson. I will say, guys, right now on the surface, it looks like they shouldn't and they won't. But at the same time, this needs to be considered. Rutherford's comments. What happened before Pettersson signed his long-term extension? He almost got traded to Carolina. And that's been rumored multiple times that he's almost been traded. That obviously weighs on him. He knows that. And here's the thing. If he doesn't play well over the next week or two, I feel like he'll still be at the standpoint. He'll still be at the perspective that it is right now for other teams. Because not much has changed. But for the Canucks internally, if Pettersson really doesn't take the reins and step up in this new role in terms of he's the guy, like Horvat's gone, Miller's gone, Pettersson, it's your team now in terms of the forward group, in terms of the number one center spot. So I said it last night in the stream. I think this is a good, aggressive, bold move from the Canucks in terms of the scenario that they were in. Because I think Marcus Pettersson's a really good top four defenseman. And I think Hedel can be a good second or third line center if he stays healthy. And Mancini's going to be a sneaky ad for that third pair. Right shot. good size. So keep an eye on that. Thank you so much, guys. Hit that subscribe button, like, notification bell, all that good stuff. We'll see what else the Canucks do. Do they trade Boeser? Do they even consider trading Pettersson still? Or do they try to just lock up Boeser and Pettersson and go for the playoffs this year and forward? Thank you so much for watching. This is John from Hot Take Hockey. Peace.